As individuals, we are strong, but as a community, we are powerful.
Tell me what you need, and I'll do what I can.
Who are we? MSI. Who are we? MSI. Who are we? MSI. 3, 2, 1.
Hola familia, this is ALANRUELAS, your host with the most. Welcome to another episode with Get Going with MSI, episode number 7. We are delighted to have a brother by the name of
Sonny Bianchi.
Yes, and we're going to be talking about a lot of business today. I almost feel like I'm doing an entertainment segment because I got some good information, and I really want to focus on the brother today. So of course, we're right here with the initiative, a Male Success Initiative, and one of the first questions that I want to ask, and I always preface this, how are you doing, Sonny?
I'm doing good, just got out of my advanced English writing class before this, so, tracking along.
All right. So I like that. Now let's ask you, how is your mental health doing?
We're struggling, but we're surviving. We're inching through. These antidepressants really get me through the day, so...
This is why I'm getting to know Sonny, and I love this character, this actual presence, because it's so relatable, So one of the questions that we have here, because we got some information about you and your engagement.
Yeah.
So I wanted to touch bases there because one of the brothers asked, hey, how is Sonny balancing your personal life with your academic life? Because if I'm not mistaken, and if you want to elaborate, your leadership roles here within CSUF, you know what I mean? So how do you balance all that?
It's honestly a lot. So I am involved a lot on campus. So I'm president of the Environmental Justice Club. I'm part of the MSI Fullerton Scholars Program. I'm also in the honors program doing my senior thesis. I'm in the Presidential Honors Program, graduating this year. I have a lot that I do outside. So I'm a political intern for CHISPA. Which is pretty great, and there's so much more that I can go into. And then I just recently got engaged in October.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just a lot that's just been on my plate. So really balancing. I don't use a planner. A lot of people really emphasize a planner. I don't use a planner. I just think that for me it stresses me out by looking at everything that I have to do all the time. So what I always say is I like doing a checklist of every day. So I go through and I'll go pull up my notes app, or I'll go and write it on a piece of paper hey, I need to do this, and then I'll go through, make sure I check it off. But yeah, balancing is really hard for myself, at least. So there's nights where I'm getting 4 hours of sleep versus nights where I'm getting maybe 6 or 7, but majority of the time my sleep schedule is kind of thrown off. But I do it because I know that I'm bettering myself for my potential of getting into a grad school program, or where I want to be at. And a lot of the things that I do put into my work has been targeted for bettering my community, specifically the Hispanic and Latinx community that I'm involved in.
Beautiful, I will say. So that's kind of the similarity that we share. I'm not engaged, but most definitely we manifest that in the future. I will say that's a great chapter in life. I want to if this was an actual entertainment, so you have to tell me more about the engagement. But because this is academically steered, we're going to be emphasizing a bit more on your leadership. Talk to us about your experience with MSI.
My experience with the MSI, so I will preference, I wasn't the most involved in MSI my first 2-3 years, but now we're starting to get involved. I think my first year to 2 years was just really me trying to figure out my place here within MSI, within Press Scholar, within University Honors, within just life in general. Transitioning from my period of being in my hometown and moving 4 hours away, being the only one that came here from my school, and also being the only one who got out of the Central Valley. It's hard. So I was dealing with major imposter syndrome, really struggling with my mental health a lot. But finally finding my place in MSI, where I'm majority of the people do know me now. If they don't know me personally, they know of me.
This is why this is here, so they can listen and know who you are in depth, and continue.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think my role here in MSI has just been somebody I get a lot of people reaching out for me to me about what they're gonna do in grad school, how they can better their application and different things. And we do have an amazing person for that. Jeanette is amazing with that. But you know, I'm going through the process right now, and like I see like what, like, you know, a lot of academics don't see, like, and like especially if you're going into the public health realm or like trying to do something in like healthcare, the SOPAS is different than the Common App, and like a lot of people don't realize that, and like it's just really hard to like go through and like really try to find your spot in like everything that you do.
Question. When you graduated high school, were you straight over here to Fullerton, or were you a transfer, or what was that like?
Yeah, so that's a tricky question to answer, because while I was in high school, I was also attending Fresno State and the surrounding community colleges.
Okay.
So while I was in high school, I was doing dual enrollment through Fresno State. So I entered here with about 40 something units. And then by the time I got here, so I graduated from high school, came here directly.
Yeah.
But by that time I was already taking summer classes, because Press Scholar requires us to. And then, or for your first semester or your first like entrance, and then you get into like whatever. But yeah, so it's been really interesting my ride here, because I entered at a higher level than most of my other peers. Higher level with my other peers. So like I was at like junior, like sophomore standing basically.
Yeah.
So I got right into my major classes.
Yeah, and that's super important. That's actually what I'm telling the universe is just sprinkling. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I was not able to receive that resource simply because my district didn't have that at the time. And then when I went to my community college, we had high schoolers attending our courses, which I thought was very beneficial, one, for time, and two, the exposure you receive as to what to expect in a college.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It makes a big difference.
I think it genuinely helped me too, like attending like community college and like even like college level classes like in high school really benefited me in the long run, because I think when you come into college, like a lot of people are like, oh, this myth, but like, or like this myth idea of like, you know, college is going to be like, everyone's going to be your friend, everyone's, you know, all this stuff. But like when you're actually dealing with it at like your junior, senior level of high school and entering, you're like, oh, wow, like this isn't anything like I've thought. But also I think it helps you a lot with like, you know, being first gen, like struggling, like coming from a low economic area. We can't pay for college the same way like white people do. And so because of that, we need to like getting access to those resources really help us like get further our education. Yeah,
and that's something that I advocate for. And two, it's kind of like when you see other folks that like look like you and are in a similar position, one, you want to uplift thyself and others as well. But it's kind of like to be in that room and to be in that department, to be in those conversations is how did you get there? You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of hard work, a lot of barriers to break, even in the neighborhoods. Just getting outside of the neighborhood, getting outside of those socioeconomic barriers, it's like, whoa, you know, like we're really doing it and we're making a difference in our personal lives, you know? So my question to you, brother, is what does empowerment look like to you?
I think for me, empowerment has been like a lot of like where I come from. So like, again, like re-emphasizing this idea that like I came from like a rural background. Like I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
I grew up in like a high school that was like 99% Hispanic. And so like empowerment to me is like giving back to your community and being able to like enter these backgrounds where a lot of people weren't able to get into like before us, and showing them that like, yes, like I may be a different skin color than you, but I'm just equally as smart, if not smarter, and I deserve to be here, and giving that empowerment back to my community by saying like, I did it, you guys can do it. Like, let's work on this together.
Yeah, and that's definitely the cup of tea that I always bring to everybody. I even have a saying, and if you do not already know, this is something that I always say every single time when I meet people. The sun shines for everybody. And the idea here is that when one goes up, the common, you know, courtesy is to say, well, look at my folks. Let me see what I could do to empower them with whatever resource I was able to get.
Exactly.
So I say that because as we move along, you know, we will see different brothers do different things. And that's like the most beautiful thing, because this is what MSI is about, providing resources.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like. For me, it's doing what I love, which is communications, public relations, journalism, and everything in between. Hence why I'm interviewing you.
Yeah.
But it looks different for everybody. So, I mean, ultimately, that's a good way to, like, think about it, because it's like, at the end of the day, you are your own person, but at the same time, people are looking up to you.
Exactly. And I think that like specifically like in MSI versus like, I'm in press scholar too, like MSI has that diversity of like, people wanting to like do like amazing things. Like some people want to become a lawyer, some people want to like be doing PR, some people want to go to business, some people who want to start their own business, other people want to be an artist in the community, different things like that. And I think that MSI really provides that great resource.
Yes. So stepping aside from the academics, let's talk about something that another brother had a question for you. So tell me as it is, what's your ideal weekend look like? And add details, please.
My ideal weekend,
Yes.
I feel like that has changed a lot since my first year. Like now, like that I'm engaged and I've been with him for a while.
Yeah.
Like I think my ideal weekend is like, I love fragrance. Like I'm a big like fragrance person. Like I don't have any right now, unfortunately. But I'm a certified like mixer. Like I used to work for Le Labo at Nordstrom.
Yeah.
And so I'm like I like love going out and like trying new scents, like going out and being like, hey, like, I can smell the notes of oud, I can smell the notes of like whatever, and like finding one that really suits your skin chemistry. So that's like one of the like things I would like to do. Like I like going up to LA, going to Chinatown or Little Tokyo and like experiencing that culture there. And like I love Asian food. It's so good. And so it's so amazing. And then I'll go to like downtown where like on the row and just trying out different scents there, and then going home like and being with my dog, watching like Netflix, love binging when time permits, and then like also like working on like I think my biggest thing is like also taking a trip back to the valley, which is where I'm from. So like not the San Fernando Valley. Like when I say the valley here, a lot of people think like I'm talking about San Fernando or like Coachella Valley. Like that's not where I'm from.
Yeah.
I'm from the Central Valley, which is very different. So like I think that climb from like the Grapevine down into like the valley is like one of the best things. So I love doing that, especially right now since I'm doing my senior thesis and I'm interviewing field workers out there and farmers. I love seeing that and like really emphasizing like this is where I came from. I'm going back to the city, or I'm leaving the city to go be in that rural area. So I think those are like the major things I like doing on the weekends.
Wow, must I say, similar but different. I will say that's pretty cool. I definitely resonate. And before I forget, I want to follow up that question, because how does it feel to go back home to the valleys for you?
I think it's hard. I didn't like really grow up in the best environment. But like I think it's beautiful when I'm like reminded like, oh, I used to work out in the fields, like, and like I'm not here to glorize like field work, but I also want to recognize that they are they majorly contribute to our like GDP, our economics, and even our way of living. Like 40% 70 or 94% of field workers in the Central Valley are Latinx or Hispanic field workers, and because of that, we because of our agricultural industry, our agricultural industry is estimated to be $40.1 billion, which helps our economy. That's why we're number 4 in like the nation or across the world. And so I think I want to give credit to where it's done. Like I grew up in that environment, and so it really impacts me. So like traveling home, I like get to see my friends. If it's a short trip, it's like, hey, like how are you guys doing? Let's go get Dutch or Doghouse, whatever. Best places if you're ever in Fresno, Doghouse, Dutch all the time. Really recommend that. But also like, just going around my community and seeing what's going on, seeing how the politics are being played out. I'm really invested in that. I'm wanting to become a medical lawyer. So
if I'm not mistaken, did you have, I believe on you reposted or you shared a picture or a video of you speaking at a town hall?
Yeah, so I was speaking at town hall in Santa Ana. So I am the community organization intern for the police oversight committee within the ACLU and CHISPA, which is a political organization that grew out of the immigrant farm workers movement here in here in Orange County. Yeah. So I'm working with them, and so I went up there and I was speaking about the necessity of having a police oversight and not using the Anaheim model, because as we've seen in recent times, The Anaheim model just doesn't work. And so this was the first time a community organization was proposing an ordinance that was in community-based language, which gave powers to the police oversight to investigate and conduct research within their powers and like really hold police accountable. So I was advocating there for police oversight.
Yes, I really saw that, and it brought me back memories. I too got on a platform and I was speaking for a specific cause, and I could just imagine, you know, you having your phone and talking in front of people. It's very much an empowering moment, but also it kind of like shares the values that you stand for. So, you know, like applauses to you, you know what I mean? So that's something that we obviously like empower students to do. The other thing that I wanted to share is like about field workers. I definitely 110% resonate with this. My familia is from Mexicali, Baja California. Shout out to y'all. La idea is de que, the idea here is that I have an uncle who literally has breaking his back to work in the fields. Yeah. But every single day, like, he makes it his mission to go do the best that he can.
Exactly.
And the type of representation that they have is not what they deserve.
No.
They need folks to speak up for them and not just to talk for them, but like also understand.
Yeah, and
it's such a
an advocate.
Yeah, it's such a subculture where it's kind of like, it's not like one person.
Yeah.
It's a whole community. And then you really think about it, and then it's just like, look at the wages, look at this, look at that. And it's like, we gotta step up.
Yeah.
You know, we gotta step up and say like, what's going on here? Because it's all over California.
Yeah, exactly. And like for me, like my senior thesis for the honors program is looking at the future economic collapse of California due to the decreased quality of life of Latinx and Hispanic field workers within the Central Valley. So for me, that has been, I grew up in a very rural town. Like my parents own a farm. My friends and I have worked out in the field since we were 8, which is another issue. Like, you know, like the legislation of like farm workers has like been lower. Like they haven't been touched at all. So that means like little kids without education can be out there working in order to provide for their family. Also, the fact that picking a full tray of grapes to turn into raisins is only 10 cents. Per tray is ridiculous. There actually needs to be some big change, because if we don't address those issues, we're going to fail them. And like I'm like looking at my analysis, looking at like interviewing them.
And like, you tell us everything that's in there.
I think it's just horrible the way that they're being treated, because the only reason why California is so high up isn't because of our films, isn't because of our electronics, it's because of our agricultural system. We are the biggest agricultural system in the entire country, which again, like circling back, it's estimated to be $40.1 billion. In California alone, we have 248 specialty crops, which means that those specialty crops need to be picked by hand by field workers. They need to be pruned, they need to be done all by hand by field workers. But yet we're not giving them the credit for what it's due. Like, you know, you buy those grapes and they're like $6 in the market, but they're getting paid 10 cents for it. Ridiculous. The fact that since 2006, since 2006, the price of picking strawberries has not increased, but the price for them to be bought in store has increased is ridiculous. Yeah. And that's like another thing. And like, you know, I'm really passionate about workers' rights. I'm really passionate about field workers, but I'm also invested in, it's called intersectional environmentalism justice. Yeah. And so with that, like, you know, looking at the environmentalist movement, the field workers there are being exposed to extremely harsh conditions, but nobody's doing anything. And so it's so hard. And like the medical systems are failing these people because they're being exposed to pesticide. They're being exposed to like communities without water and different things. And the health systems are failing, which is like ultimately why I want to go into medical law, to start advocating for communities like this.
Well, I will say, I applaud this. It stirs up some passion in me too, but I just, first and foremost, a fist bump to that. That's great work. I'm a little bit flabbergasted because that is something that I love hearing about, and something that really touches home, because every time I have the opportunity, I take meals to my uncle. Yeah. It's hard to hear the stories that come out of there. I'll share one that's really quick. like sometimes like things are taken for granted, you know what I mean? But he has experienced, you know, things in there. But the idea here is that when he told me one time, he's like, hey, you know, I slept on the floor. I didn't have nowhere to sleep. He just slept in the dirt.
Yep.
And I was just like, and he's fine with it because he's just like, that's the way it is to be able to pay the bills. Because either you listen or you listen. I'm like, no, uncle, hold on.
Yeah.
I was like, I appreciate you wanting to like step up and like own it for the family and stuff, but like, let me tell you something. We care about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if people they're not family members, we care about you too because this is a decency of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have y'all sleeping on the dirt like that, bro.
Yeah.
Like y'all need to come through and do what you do, especially with this type of representation. So I put that on the forefront because I feel it.
Yeah. It's just so hard. Like, especially like growing up in a community where like it's all agriculture. Like my high school was next to like a farm. Like it's just so much that's there. Like my elementary school, when they would light the trays on fire because they were made out of like they were plastic, or not plastic, but like brown paper trays for them to dry. Like we could smell that from my school, like how the like trays were being lit on fire.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's really sad, and especially like the amount of people who die in the fields and it's not being addressed. It's something that like we shouldn't stand for, and like, you know, especially like the fact that a lot of field workers are either undocumented or they're being like their green cards are being held from them by their employers is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I definitely want to say that that's something that we're going to be looking forward to see what you do, and obviously your thesis and all that. So I'm gonna stay updated with that. I will say, what's a couple of other passions that you have not mentioned to us?
So I'm really centered around politics. Like my whole thing is like politics. Like I'm a political science major and public health with a concentration in global health.
Double whammy.
Yeah, so I'm doing those, and so I'm really invested in like politics, like especially right now with the election, especially what's going on with LA, like Bass versus Caruso. Don't want him to win. Go Bass all the way.
Yeah.
But also like just even in local communities, also like I like go out. Police oversight is a huge thing that's also personal to me. Environmentalism is a major, like, again, like I'm president of the Environmental Justice Club, so like right now we're advocating for so much. We're starting this club, but like it's a great way to get involved and understand that intersectional environmentalism affects all of us, and so it's doesn't matter your race, your creed, whoever you are. Vulnerable communities are being damaged, and ultimately it's going to affect us. So that's another thing I'm passionate about. But also, like, you know, my dog, love my dog to death. She looks like Scooby-Doo, love her to death. Yeah, she's so funny.
I'm a big sucker for Scooby-Doo.
She's so funny. She's so dumb, but she's like just a love bug. But also like even like just traveling, I'm really passionate about that.
Yes.
And like just understanding my like culture and like where I come from.
Beautiful. I mean, I will say I love traveling, and I recently got a doggy too, a little Chihuahua. She's just like so petite and beautiful.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like I'm like Paris Hilton real quick. Because I have like
Diamond baby.
Sliver. What is it called? Sliving. There we go. Not sliver. Sliving. Yeah, it's a whole sliving moment, you know what I mean? So I'm just like all for it, you know? It's just like, yeah, dogs are best companions.
Sometimes. Oh, 100%. She is the best. Like, we adopted her from, like, people who were going to take her to a pound and put her down.
No.
And so I was just like, I'm not going to do that to this dog.
Yeah.
So we ended up adopting her, like, a couple months ago. Now, like, we thought she was pregnant. She had a false pregnancy, which was okay, but she's like wanting to be a mother, so we're planning on getting another dog for her.
Yeah.
Just so she has a person to be with, and like she's the best dog.
Oh my God.
She's so cute. She's so big.
I love this mindset. My doggy was barely born and she already wanted to have babies. I'm like, girl, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hold on,
exactly.
We're good with you right now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like the neighbor's dog. It was like one of the dogs out there and doing their thing.
Yeah,
like,
the street dogs.
Yeah. It's like no. We gotta like make sure that you're okay.
Yeah,
we gotta get you an education. I felt like a dad. Like,
yeah, exactly. And it's so much, especially when they're in heat. It's just the worst. Oh my God.
I'm just like, look, you're over there, and then there's a fence.
Yeah.
And you stay over there. That dog from the street. I was just like, no.
Yeah.
Out. but that's my baby right there. I was just like,
Exactly.
no, I can't. They're growing up too fast.
Yeah, my dog's a Rottie Corso, so she's a Rottweiler and Cane Corso all together.
Okay.
So she's massive.
Yeah.
And she's a big cuddle bug, but she thinks she's like a lap dog. So like, you know, Chihuahua like fits in your lap. Like this dog will come and sit on our laps and block the TV from us, and I'm just like, Hazel, what are you doing?
What are you doing? No, yeah, I had a German Shepherd. We had to put her down, unfortunately, because she had like a bad accident, and it was just like so hard to see her suffer. So we went to the vet, and like the best thing to do is just let her rest. And it was just a whole. That dog was with us for my reina was with us for a whole decade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even when she was in pain, this is how sometimes I think about like animals. They're so smart.
Yeah.
Even when she was at her most even when she was at her most painful time, I feel like pet owners can resonate with this. Like they know who the person they love is.
Yeah.
And crying and screaming and everything, she would still lick my hand.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
I
don't want to let you go, but
I feel it. I've had so many dogs growing up. Again, like, you know, I lived out on a ranch. So I had a German Shepherd, I had a Saint Bernard, I had a Golden Retriever, pretty much almost any dog, you name it, I probably had, like, because of that. And like they lived out in the country, they just enjoyed it. Like, it was great. I loved it. So many dogs.
Too many memories. Too many things to bond over. All right, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, let me tell y'all, this is Alan, and this is...
Sonny Bianchi.
Yes, this is episode number 7, and I want to say it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to be able to get to know more of Sonny, and I hope that y'all were able to get some insight, because the purpose of these podcasts, the purpose of this archive is to have recollections of who our brothers are, especially those who are going to be graduating or those who are going to be pursuing their dreams, endeavors, whatever the case may be. So it's been an absolute honor. Do you have anything to say, Brother Sony, before we leave?
Follow me on Instagram if you want.
Yeah. Put the plug.
Sonny.Bianchi. But yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's been great. Like, you know, let's hang out a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I'm so down. You know, I'll get to the I'll tell the other stuff with you, okay?
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
But other than that, y'all, I'll see y'all very soon, and enjoy the 3-day weekend. Yes, all right? Bye.
Bye.